All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Kyrie Irving did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. And I'm only basing that off of the standards that were set by the dominant white society. I'm only going by those standards. By those standards, Kyrie Irving did nothing wrong. I find it absurd this man's being punished for sharing an Amazon link. I find it absurd this man's being punished for sharing something that a white person profited off of, and apparently the person who distributed the film is not going to be punished, not going to be held to any individual standard. I find that fascinating. I find it fascinating that anytime you get an issue with a black person in the media, they try to make you the face of something that white people invented. Anti-Semitism. Something that we don't have the power to really enforce. I mean, we all know that. If it wasn't us, you didn't see Germany go and recruit from Africa. You didn't really see that, right? You didn't see a whole lot of cats from the hood, showing up with those particular uniforms during the World Wars. You didn't see that. So the thing is that the one group that resists the people who push anti-Semitism has been black folks. In fact, every group in this country has profited off of the civil rights movement. Even white women, if you look at affirmative action. So I find it fascinating, just absolutely flabbergasting how we can judge Kyrie Irving. This man gets suspended. Meanwhile, NASCAR, you have Confederate flags on freaking cars, on vehicles. Pretty sure that most black people find that pretty offensive. But for some reason, that's not offensive. That's just acceptable. And as soon as you mention that, well, don't deflect. That's not deflecting. That's a problem that we've been complaining about for a long time now. In fact, some might say since the Civil War. And yet no NASCAR driver has been made to apologize to the black community, meet up with the NAACP, meet up with the Black Lives Matter movement, meet up with someone like myself, an activist, and actually have to apologize. I find it fascinating how we push that kind of stuff on black men. Y'all make sure y'all tap the screen, send me some likes, make sure you share the screen. Let other people know that I'm running the stream, because I'm going to go in tonight, man. I'm tired of seeing the stuff that I see on TikTok. The other thing that I'm sick of seeing, especially on TikTok, is some of these black creators, right? How they'll go around and they'll fleece anyone who's black who's being currently attacked in the media. I find that fascinating too. You know what we call that? We call that auditioning. See, those people are just auditioning so that they could be the next mouthpiece for white supremacy. See, there's a whole economy for black people who go against black people. There's a whole economy for that. Candace Owens is a prime example of that. She's when it comes to that kind of field, she is number one. She's undefeated. You got to admit, in the field of being the animal version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, that particular type of person, she is queen. She dominates. So my thing is that when you look at the whole thing with Kyrie Irving, I find it fascinating how we can hold this man to a standard, and yet you had a whole so-called sport, in which, first of all, NASCAR is not really a sport, right? Right? A whole sport, who routinely displays something that most 90% of black people would not agree with. 90%. And yet, for some reason, you want me to look at that and not see the hypocrisy. You want to tell me that certain groups don't have certain power, and then you go on to demonstrate exactly how much power that they have. Okay. See, I think that these people are not realizing that this is a new age. I don't think many of these people have realized we are in the internet era, and people can bring up the freaking hypocrisy. This is why the NBA is suffering now. They've lost some fans. There's a lot of people right now who is not rocking with the NBA. A lot of black people. In fact, a lot of NBA players behind the scenes have been saying a lot of stuff. But the very fact they can't say it publicly, see, that lets me know what this is actually about. It's not about Kyrie Irving offending anybody. It's never been about that. It's never been about that. This is about controlling black opinion. See, if Kyrie Irving said that black people were part Asian, nobody would have cared. We know that's the case with certain people. If Kyrie Irving said that there were some Afro-Latinos, nobody would have cared. But the very fact that you can have people out there who come at Kyrie Irving and say, well, he said that there are some black people who are actually Jewish. Well, that's a fact. That's a fact. And the very fact that it was that seemed to really motivate all this, because it can't be anti-Semitism, because some of the same people who are complaining to Kyrie Irving donated to Donald Trump. And some of the same people who have said things to the Jewish community that, honestly, I couldn't imagine you saying that and still having a job, but some people are still in politics, in American politics. Not just Republicans either. I'm not just talking about them. There's some Democrats who have said some things that about the Jewish community that was very interesting. That many people have said were very, very offensive. So I find that fascinating that you have people out here who want me to not see that for what it is. That is what bothers me about U.S. politics. That is what bothers me about U.S. politics. That's what bothers me about political discourse. Because it's not so much that these people expect me to look at things and judge it their way. It's the fact that they know hypocrisy exists and they want me to ignore it. See, you can pay me to wire your house. You can pay me to help you with your pigs or your dogs. You can pay me to do a lot of things. You can't pay me to be stupid. No. And the biggest issue that I have when it comes to the Kyrie Irving, the whole Kyrie Irving thing, the whole situation is basically overall, at the end of the day, you can't tell me that a person has the right to free speech, and yet you support what happens to Kyrie Irving. You can't tell people. You have people out there saying, well, you can't punch, people who are Yahtzees, the goose step types, because they have free speech. But you justify canceling someone like Kyrie Irving. That's gross. That's gross. And the reason why it's gross is mostly because you wouldn't do it to a white person. Because there's white people who have jobs right now who have certainly done worse. And retweeting something is not bigoted speech. Because if that were the case, why is Donald Trump still allowed in dominant society? And why is Joe Rogan still having a podcast? He put Richard Spencer on his podcast. So in the chat, if I see you say stuff like that, like bigoted speech, and you don't demand that Joe Rogan be removed for platforming Richard Spencer, then I don't want to hear from you. Yes, on my channel, you will have consistency. I'm not asking. I'm going to enforce that. Be consistent. See, on my channel, I don't allow the I'm white and I say so stuff. Okay? If I make an argument, don't just make some sidestep argument. Actually address the argument. Or you can leave my chat. See, I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't care if you're on the right or the left. I respect an honest, direct argument. If I come at you directly, come back at me directly. Don't sidestep the point. Address the point directly. And don't claim that you did if I'm telling you that you didn't. Because once again, we're not doing the I'm white and I say so stuff. Okay? See, when you talk to people like that, you get your point across faster. You cut some of the nonsense down. Kyrie Irving did nothing wrong. Not legally, not morally, not even by internet standards. You want to know why? Because if we're gonna hold Kyrie Irving to that insane standard, do you understand how many people shouldn't have jobs right now? Do you really want to go down that list? See, I was around when the internet was still, you go to the grocery store and you pick up some AOL discs. Okay, so I was around for a long time. Do you really want to go there? Right? So you see, this is what I'm talking about. Sidestepping points. Again, Kyrie did nothing wrong. It's not about Kyrie being right about anything. I'm saying that he did nothing wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong by retweeting something, because if that's the case, do you really want to be held by that standard? Because let me tell you something. Within the past decade, right? What you could say freaking decade ago, like for example, Jeff Dunham. Jeff Dunham, he does this one puppet particular character. Whereas today, by today's standard, if he just came out with that today, he'd be canceled for that. And Ken of Zone Star, you can leave my chat. Let me go ahead and tell y'all something now. The way I do things is the way I do things. I raise my voice. I speak a certain way. I'm very direct. Don't tone police me in my own chat. You wouldn't do it to a white creator. Don't do it to a black one. Back to what I was saying, though, before I got the comment from the peanut gallery. My thing is that if we're going to hold Kyrie Irving to that particular standard of not retweeting something, well, my thing is that you had a president who was not only retweeting stuff, but directly saying stuff that the entire Jewish community was calling offensive. And yet, if that man ran president right now, some of the same people who are saying, cancel Kyrie Irving, would vote for him. Some of the same people who are saying, cancel Kyrie Irving, if Donald Trump became president again, and he said, hey, I got some federal dollars for the National Basketball Association, Adam Silver will be right there saying, oh, thank you, Mr. Trump. I will gladly take that cash from you, despite everything that you said. See? And that shows you something else. That there is a split off. You have people out there who don't seem to realize that anti-black racism doesn't just come from white people. Let me say that for you again. Let me be like Umar Johnson. Let me say that for you again. Anti-black racism doesn't just come from white people. Let me say that for you again. Anti-black racism doesn't just come from white people. And I'm saying that because white people know that. White people fully realize that there are buffer groups, there are other groups that are used to go at us. Because that's why you came up with the whole people of color thing. See, that's what made the people of color thing so effective. Because you can have somebody who's, for example, a white person who is would otherwise be called white. But because they're a part of another marginalized group, they now feel like they can come and lecture a black person. Can you think of any groups that I could be talking about right now? Not saying that anybody from that group is a bad person, but that does happen. There's people on the left and the right who have both conceded that. And I can show you the videos. So, with that being said, oh, let's see, G-Paul, do you not like white folks? What about what I said would lead you to believe that, or even ask that question? Do you just go around asking that question to everyone? The Destroyer says the Constitution supports racism and it won't until we have a new one. So new one, yes. So the thing about it is that people don't realize that we live in a system of white supremacy. We do. We live in a system of white supremacy. So free speech only works for white supremacy. And Kyrie Irving is a prime example. Joe Rogan, they go on that Kyrie Irving for a freaking retweet, right? But Joe Rogan platformed Richard Spencer. They platformed Richard Spencer, not just once, but multiple times. Platform Jared Holt. Jared Holt, do you know what Jared Holt believes about black people? He believes that we're less intelligent just because we're black. Seriously. Seriously. And that man was platformed by Joe Rogan. Nick Fuentes, platformed by Joe Rogan. So let me get this straight. You want me to believe that Kyrie Irving shouldn't have a job. Kyrie Irving should have to go and apologize, give all this money, right? All this money. And you want me to believe that's fair when Joe Rogan platforms someone like Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes and even Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was making fun of Trayvon Martin and George Floyd, but he platformed him. Freedom of speech only works if you are supporting the system of white supremacy. That's it. That's the only time free speech works. Only time. Invite somebody home. Hardhead Herbert. Do you have a camera, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how may I help you?
Oh, I was just coming through the neighborhood. I was hearing you talking, man. You got the truth there. You're putting out on them. You
Right,
know.
right, right. Don't take it as me being hostile. I just I kind of like to
Oh
give
no,
people
no, no.
the floor, you know. So tell me, what do you think about the whole Kyrie thing?
Well, they say that he got that. That's already published material, so that's like me going to see Batman, and then the Spider Man people get on my case because I didn't go see Spider Man. That's already
It's kind of
published
weird.
material. Yeah, it's already published material. So why would you get on to him? He didn't write it. He didn't direct it. He didn't film it. The only thing he did was seeing something and almost like use the word retweeted it, put it like that. He
Do
just
you
put out
do you
something
do
and
you find
retweeted.
it interesting? Do you find it interesting that people that retweeted the song of the South, they aren't facing the same consequences?
Oh man, I was just trying to tell some folks, man, this thing is so backwards that time we say ouch, they say, well, what you complaining about? Say, but you done stepped on my foot 100 times, and now when I react, and you want to say it's my fault.
Mm.
But not what I got issues with is the Mr. YWOC that Ryan Year and they done snatch his pocketbook away from him, and he Ryan Year want
Mm.
to apologize, talking about now you feel like what it is to have a knee on his neck. It's like, man, you still doing damage.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Something is
yeah,
not
man.
connected. The light bulb is in the socket, but it just won't come on. Something.
I think that at the end of the day, honestly, when it comes to people like Kanye,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you can clearly see what Kanye is. Kanye's hanging out with Candace Owens. Candace Owens is clearly a freaking op. Clearly, like there's just no one's or no or is gonna question that. Candace Owens has one job, and that's to infiltrate Black society and make us look bad and
And
attack
get
us.
some
At
money. And get some money.
that is the definition of an op.
Yeah.
And since Kanye West is hanging out with her and getting direction from her, by extension, that makes him an op. Why in the world would we give any op any kind of air?
Yeah.
Why?
Cause she say that she say, I don't want to be a part of that community anymore. That's not that. I would sure like to see her say, hey, we done already cut your EBT card up, so ain't no sense you coming back this way. You know, what they call it snaps. You can't get your snap card no more. We been cut you loose because she is an opportunist that's it's like an anomaly. Say, all she got to do one day is run into the right person at 2 o'clock in the morning on the wrong road, and he got them lights behind her, and her name could be Queen Elizabeth. She gonna get what she gonna get because them folks don't care, you
Well, the
know.
thing about it is that I look at it like this, and people, I've noticed that people have an inability to kind of call things objectively. So, like objectively speaking, the goal of Candace Owens and people like a Candace Owens is to make not just black people look bad, but in particular the black man. So if that was the goal, right, then
Yeah,
mission accomplished.
yeah,
That's what they just accomplished, and this is why I'm keep telling black creators, stop criticizing black people. You got plenty of white police officers who are doing all kinds of stuff, and that's actually the primary focus of my channel. So it's like, why are you even giving this air? You know the white media is already going to attack them. They don't need your help. But you get so many people on this app and even on YouTube and Twitter, everything
yeah,
else, who are auditioning.
yeah,
It's just gross.
yeah. The auditions. That's
Yeah.
like that's like my brother, brother Walker. He auditioning. They trying to get him in a job, but it's like, come on, Doc.
But honestly though, I'm gonna say something, and I know it's gonna hurt some folks' feelings, but I look at Herschel Walker and I say, I would never vote for this man. But what really upsets me is that Raphael Warnock, you look at the debate performance and the actual results, it's like, how are you struggling against Herschel Walker? Like, come on, man. Like, Democrats have to put together better candidates, man. Like they won't put the people out there that are actually grassroots, or people out there that are not brought and paid for. You put out a Raphael Warnock, Stacey Abrams. You put out a freaking Kamala Harris. It's like, bro, the woman that I'm with is actually from the Bay Area, and nobody in the Bay Area likes Kamala Harris because we
Yeah,
all know she's dirty.
yeah,
So I'm not, like it's like I want people out there who are actually radicals. I want like for example, I want a Black Panther who's actually a freaking governor.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
It's
I
like
I want
fruit.
that, but yeah,
It's like fruit. When you in a pear orchard or the apple orchard, you just don't run up and grab any fruit and go to biting. You might get a worm. You're gonna have to take your time and inspect it, and take a look at it
right.
and make sure that it's good, ripe fruit. Because you just don't want to snatch something off the tree and go to biting, and it's rotten on one side, and it's like it ain't got the flavor. It's almost like persimmons. It'd be so bitter it ties your whole tongue up. Now, what I learned is this: when Raphael Warnock ran the first time, the scare tactic was the suburban housewife. He ran against Kelly Loeffler. Oh, they come and
Right.
get your house. They building projects in the suburbs. I'm gonna stop that. We going that's what Trump said. He signed a bill, and they will not build any projects in the suburbs. And he was supposed to scare those people into voting, and she lost. So when they
Right.
went back to the drawing board and said, "Well, we'll get one look just like him. Since the other tactics didn't work, we're gonna split the vote." Because all those people seem to voted for Warnock. So now we need to split the vote. So they went and got Herschel. I don't know what I'm saying, Walker.
Mm. But the thing about it is that what I've noticed is that there's a change in the Black community. I've noticed that some of the same scare tactics that both sides use, it doesn't work anymore. Like for example, you have a contingency within the Black community that is more right wing, that will vote Republican. But
Yeah,
now you're getting the same black folks who are demanding reparations, because when you look at, there was a Pew Research poll that was released back in August of this year that showed that even black Republicans in the majority want reparations. So even those people now are pushing for something, and so that's what I think is changing on both sides. There's a reformation from the black right and also even the black left, because you're noticing like Stacey Abrams, she just lost and she's blaming black men. It's like, Stacey, don't do that. You know what's gonna happen. You're just gonna make it worse. Because I actually met Stacey Abrams in person. I can tell you, like,
yeah,
she's a good sister. The problem with her is that she plays the Democrat game of treating us like we are the last to get something, you know, like she used the whole argument of well, politically speaking, if you look at the numbers, if you give black folks just something, then other groups are going to be upset because we are such a supposedly a low population. It's like, well, wait a minute, the Asian population is only like 7%. We're
Yeah.
13%. So you didn't say anything about Joe Biden signing an anti-Asian hate crime bill.
Yeah.
And that was speaking of executive order, and then when I bring that up, I'll have Democratic shields who will, because see, I don't like Republican shields, as you can tell, like from the freaking Trump fans, and I don't care for Democrat shields either. Like I'll bring that up, right? And they'll be like, well, see, this policy actually benefited you. I'm like, stop, don't lie to me, man. Like I'd rather you say that you hate me than like lie to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
know what I read. Like don't do that. Don't do that. and so like that's happening on both sides now.
Yeah.
So what do you
Yeah.
think? Like, have you seen that?
Yeah. Well, they playing to win, and they playing any game that they can to convince you that they're the best. And some of that there's
Yeah.
a less of two evils, but it's like once they get in office, we're gonna still get the same quietness. They're gonna go about their business and do what they
Yep.
do, and business it's gonna be business as usual.
That's my favorite saying, business as usual. And I bring up this point because as soon as I say that, people are like, oh, you're a Republican shield, or you're a libertarian. It's like, no, what I am is sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of voting for one party. They keep promising me an end to qualified immunity, and they're not giving it. I'm
Yeah.
tired of voting for parties when I'm asking for reparations for my people and you're not giving it. I'm tired of voting for freaking parties. Whereas I look at my community, my people are poor, my people are homeless, my people are struggling, and I'm looking at the white folks, the Asian folks, Jewish folks, Hispanic folks, and they doing good. They
Yeah.
doing good,
Yeah.
and then you tell me that I gotta share reparations with Native Americans who have casinos that black folks don't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like well the casinos and the reservations they're not all that great. Okay, fine, take them away then.
Yeah.
If they don't
Yeah.
make a big difference, take it away then.
I believe
See,
every person of color kid that's born should already have college tuition paid for. Their school should be taken care of all the way through 4 years of college.
I don't know, man. Like that to me, the whole college thing.
No, this
I
the
I would
opportunity.
rather I would rather. I mean, again, that's a whole lift all type program because you know what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen is they're going to go into legislation. They're going to add women, and it's going to mostly benefit white women, just like affirmative action. That's what happened to affirmative action.
Yeah.
Affirmative action doesn't benefit us in the majority. It mostly benefits white women. And then what happens is whenever we start this whole people of color thing, that's what happens. You open the door, right? So if you want something to benefit black people, then just make it about black people. But see,
Yeah.
that's what happens during affirmative action. See, I was doing some research, and my grandmother, she was around. She was around during that
Okay.
time, so she actually explained it to me. And so I was doing some research. I actually would look up the actual legislation. Coming to find out, what happened was the people in the House and the Senate who didn't like black folks, they already knew how to undermine affirmative action. They
Yeah.
said, well, we're going to add women as a
Yeah.
as a as a minority. And once that happened, that was it.
That's like all the rights that
So
we fought for. They put some other people right now have hijacked the civil rights movement. There's a
mm,
certain group of people, say like Michael Jackson, ABC. You know what I'm talking about? If you see me, ABC. They
yep.
done hijacked the
I ain't gonna
movement,
say
and
I
you can't
listen.
say
I
the
have
same.
nothing against that community,
No, I mean, but I
but
don't
there
want to.
are
But
there
you can't.
are some parts of that community that are absolutely doing exactly what you say. So I feel you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can't even sneeze without being labeled uh some type of strange labeling, and it's like, no, we just was talking about me having a piece of the pie. We
Right.
started out in the kitchen, so now that everything is ready, can I try some of the stuff that we've put together? You know?
Right. Like I give you a prime example, right? Into what you said. So we fought so hard for the Fair Housing Act, right? We fought so hard. That was a dream that even MLK didn't live to see.
Yeah.
That came after the riots after he passed away.
Yeah.
So my thing is that even though we had the Fair Housing Act, every other group uses it, but we
Yeah.
still get redlined.
Yeah.
Crazy. We fought for that. Our greatest icon, our most recognizable icon, transitioned before he even
Yeah.
saw it. He even predicted he wouldn't get there.
Yeah.
He said it. And people are using it and then turn around and tell us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps.
But they never give me a pair of boots that have any straps.
Exactly. I'm barefoot.
Yeah. When I left, I was barefooted with a pair of raggedy
Yeah.
pants, one pot, and no directions. I tell folks, Abraham Lincoln, they say, a lot of them say, Abraham Lincoln set the slaves free. I said, no, he didn't. He
No.
signed the Emancipation Proclamation that said you can go. And since when we didn't have no place to go, they come up with the 13th Amendment or whatever, or the 14th Amendment, where they say that they can lock you up for crime. So
Mm-hmm.
since we didn't have no place to go, they put the vacancy laws and brought us right back. So he
Yeah,
didn't
I mean
set us free.
it's just like people and you know what I'm so glad that I'm seeing now? It's a black awakening, a black renaissance that we have on our hands. It doesn't matter if you care for the new Pan-Africanism or the foundational Black American like movement. It doesn't matter what side that it's coming from, or
Yeah,
even black the new black Christians, the black Muslims now they are rising. The black pagans, with the pagan gods from Africa called the Orisha. All right,
yeah.
you got a real rising with that. So I think there's a black renaissance, and I guarantee you, now that we're seeing the transition into 2040, you know what's going to happen on 2040, right?
They say we supposed to come back to power, right?
It's going to be white Hispanics. It's not going to be us, but we're going to be number two.
Okay.
Number
Or
two.
you
So that
mean
means that
you mean the majority?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
one of the big reasons for that is because of climate change. Climate
Yeah.
change is making the world more ideal for a person with melanin. For
Yeah.
one, and then two, the birth rates with certain communities are just dropping. It's just plummeting. It's in the freaking toilet. So, you
Yeah.
know, they're saying that their birth rates are dropping while you go over to the African continent or to Asia, like places like China or places, their population is doing well. They're healthy, doing
Yeah.
great, and they're having plenty of babies. They they have so many babies they don't even know what to do with them all.
I really think we the majority. Did we just not count it in a whole unit to put it like that?
Ooh, say that again.
Worldwide, we are the majority.
Yeah.
Worldwide. Uh-huh.
I heard you the first time. I just wanted you to say that again because I think in America we are much higher than 13%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, way higher than that. It just you remember I read somewhere where uh our neighbors south of the border, they wanted back in the 50s or the 40s. That was before you remember the Zoot Suiters?
Right.
Yeah, it was somewhere around the area of the Zoot Suiters that they went to Washington D.C. and demanded. They went through all the process of the courts. They even ended up at the Supreme Court. They wanted white put on their birth certificate, and because when they put their nationality, it was like they was being shortchanged. So the Supreme Court say, "Sure, we'll put white on your birth certificate." And when you show up Saturday morning at Miss Zuzu's house and knock on the front door, she gonna tell you, you belong but to the back door. She tell
Mm.
you really who you are. And on paper, you might be one person, but when you show up in person, they let you know where you place at. And that was a rude awakening for them. They wanted to be considered white, and they put it on their birth certificate.
Hmm.
And I'm not trying to say anything racial. I'm just talking history. You
Right.
know. Uh,
Right. And that's the whole thing. That's where we've reached. We we've reached a point whereas we've reached officially Orwellian freaking levels here. When telling the truth is seen as bigotry, you have
Yeah,
reached 1984 levels.
yeah,
Now, granted, I will say this. For example, with Kyrie Irving and what he retweeted or what he shared, right? Whatever, be that as it may, there were parts of that I actually went and I watched it. There were a lot of parts of that that were silly, but there was some of that that was true. So my question is, which parts of it did you find anti-Semitic? Was it the parts that they actually said that there were black Jewish people, there were black Israelites, there are black people in the freaking Middle East, all over the Middle East, and they still exist there?
yeah.
Like is that
So
anti-Semitic? Did they actually say
where
that?
did you find the show?
It
Where did
was
you
featured
find it at? I'd
on
like to look at that.
it was featured on Amazon. It's I don't want to say the title, of course, but if you look it
Okay,
up,
okay, okay.
if you
Yeah.
if you look it up, trust me, they have free copies of it now. It is probably one of the most watched documentaries on
Probably
the
on
on the entire
YouTube, man.
internet. Yeah,
Probably on
it's
YouTube,
probably on
man.
freaking YouTube. Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. But I watched it, and there's a whole lot of things in there that I didn't care for. But the thing that I did find interesting was that when you have it, whereas people are at least admitting in passing to something that might be true, that was that was fascinating.
Yeah.
That was fascinating. So, anyways, man, I'm gonna actually bring somebody else on.
Okay,
You got
okay.
anything
Great
else?
talking with you. Let me hold on. Let me follow you there. Yeah.
Cool,
Let
man.
me
I'm
do a
gonna
little
follow you too. I'm
follow
gonna give
there.
you a follow, man. Make sure you guys give him a follow, man. He's a good dude, man. Seems kind of chill.
I try to live in the truth, man, because a lie ain't gonna
I
get us
feel you,
nowhere.
brother.
Huh?
I
The
feel
truth
you,
gonna set
brother.
me free. You be good, my
Absolutely.
brother. All
All
right.
right, be safe, brother.
All right.
Peace. All right, guys. Listen. I want to I want to go ahead and put something out there. I believe in being pro-black. All right. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. I'm going to support you so long as you rock with me. Right. So it doesn't matter what your opinion is. It doesn't matter what your view is. If you're black, I'm going to look out for you. The same way that, white folks look out for other white folks, they get on code. Same way Asian folks get on code, Jewish folks get on code. Everybody gets on code. We need a code like that. Whereas we need to circle the wagons. Circle the wagons. Doesn't matter if you like the person or not. That is a show of force. If we show that we will protect even someone like Kanye, they won't come for Kyrie. Do you get that? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna do it just like Umar again. Let me say that again. If the black community, especially black Americans, if we defend Kanye, they will never come for Kyrie. I'm gonna say that again. If we as black Americans defended Kanye, they would have never came for Kyrie. You know what I'm saying? Kanye was the tipping point. Kanye was the jumping off point. Kanye did his job as an op. He did exactly what Candace Owens told him to do. Candace Owens told him, we got to make black men look bad. Let me ask you a question. Did he not accomplish that? He did. To his own detriment, of course. But he did. And that's my thing. Had we still defended Kanye, it wouldn't have been the right thing to do, in my opinion. I wouldn't have liked it. But had we done that, what that would have told the dominant white society and every other community is that you can't come for any black person if they'll defend him. See, that's why you don't go for certain communities. This is why you don't criticize the Jewish community, because even the people who some people in the Jewish community would consider to not be a good person who is among them, they will still defend them. Still defend them. Hispanic people, you see the same thing. And it's not about defending Kanye. It's not about defending Kanye. It's about defending his right to say what he wants to say. Because that's the same argument in principle that we're making about Kyrie Irving, is it not? Write it down on a piece of paper. You are defending Kyrie Irving because the man has a right to say what he wants to say, like everybody else, and keep his job. Because all he did was share a link. There's people in Hollywood right now who have done horrible stuff that people people stood up and clapped for him. Roman Polanski. Excuse me, John Oliver with the Late Show. He showed a clip of people singing and clapping for Harvey Weinstein. Are any of them canceled? Oh, let's compare it to. You are singing and clapping for Harvey Weinstein, the man who helped to start the Me Too movement, but you ain't canceled. Kyrie Irving shared a link on a social media site that is known to feature Donald Trump and is owned by Elon Musk. Write it down on a piece of paper. Write it down side by side. Make it make sense. Right on one side, Kyrie Irving sharing a link on a platform owned by Elon Musk that has a 500% increase in the use of a certain word ever since he brought it, that features Donald Trump. And then right on the other side, right, on the other side, this is what you're going to write. This is what you're going to write on the other side. You're going to write Joe Rogan featuring Richard Spencer, Nick Fuentes, and Jared Holt. But Joe Rogan is on Spotify, can be heard every day. Kyrie Irving, they're trying to end this man's whole career. Make that make sense. Do you think that Kyrie Irving sharing a link is somehow I asked a direct question, and it's to the person who's spamming my chat right now. Dance to life. When I ask you a direct question, I want a direct answer. Do you think it's fair that Joe Rogan gets to stay on Spotify? That the people who clap for Roman Polanski and also Harvey Weinstein isn't canceled, but yet they started entire movements. Entire movements. George Zimmerman is still free right now. George Zimmerman is still free right now. But you're telling me about Kyrie Irving. George Zimmerman, the man who started the Black Lives Matter movement, is free right now. But you telling me about how Kyrie Irving should be canceled. The man who fatally shot Tamir Rice, the only reason why he's not a cop right now is channels like mine. What you telling me about Kyrie Irving? This is ridiculous. Any content creator that even criticizes Kyrie Irving in a little bit now, I look at you like you're buck dancing. Tap dancing. Oh, yes, boss. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not going to change my mind either. Because I'm sorry, will you juxtapose that to what you look at that comparison I just made? Kyrie Irving's being canceled for posting a link on a website that's owned by Elon Musk that features Donald Trump with a 500% increase in a word that all black people say, hey, we don't really care for. Right? But Joe Rogan's fine. He's fine. He can feature Jared Holt, who believes in race realism, the very idea that black people are not as intelligent just because we black. He featured that man on his show. Richard Spencer. It's just, I don't understand how people expect from me, knowing the kind of content that I put out, knowing how I talk, especially hearing how I talk now, how you gonna present something to me as a counter argument, right? But then tell me, I have to ignore obvious double standards. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't I can't go at another black person and criticize them like that, knowing that double standard exists. I can't do it. I can't do it. And if you don't like me because of that, that's fine. I serve in the military and I've done a lot of stuff I don't really care for. I was a former law enforcement officer. Now I make content against cops. If there's one thing that I've demonstrated throughout my life is that once presented with something, I go with that. And I look at facts. You will not fleece Kyrie Irving without me saying something about it. I am sick of how black men in particular are being fleeced in the media, fleeced out here in the public, fleeced on social media, fleeced in conversations. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. There's a reason people go out of their way to target black men who are outspoken. There's a reason for that. It's a way of trying to whip other black people into shape. If they could come at me, right, and then fleece me, acabdevil, the freaking Black Rambo, that's what some people actually call me, Black Rambo. If they can do it to me, they'll do it to you. If they can do it to someone like me who goes at cops intentionally to antagonize them, what do you think they'll do to you? If they'll go at Kyrie Irving for sharing a link, yet for some reason Joe Rogan still has a podcast, what do you think they'll do to you? If they can go after Kanye West, and I don't agree with anything Kanye has to say, trust me, I have my own problems with Kanye, but it's not Kanye, the personality you should look at. Look at the amount of money he had, the influence, and how fast it got taken away. Do you understand what that's telling you? What that's telling you? What that's actually showing you? Do you understand? What that's showing you, black folks, is that it doesn't matter how much money you got. It didn't matter what Kanye said. They always wanted Kanye. They wanted Kanye since he was on that one Jerry Lewis telethon saying that George Bush don't like black people. And he was standing next to freaking Mike Myers. If any of you old enough to actually remember that, I remember that. Right? So they ain't like him since then. So they've always wanted to cancel Kanye because Kanye, it wouldn't matter if it's a right-wing person or a left-wing person. The right-wing people who have black conservatives and black Republicans, they will break their toys. White supremacy always breaks its toys. White supremacy always breaks its toys. Look at Diamond and Silk. You remember Diamond and Silk from freaking YouTube? I do. You may not remember because you don't see them much now. Most of the black people who were featured on Fox News and everybody, they all get broken. Because once white supremacy is done with you, you get discarded. And then you try to come crawl back to the black community. Listen, For the people who are out there who are coming back, who are super duper right wing, and now they're coming back, I will accept you, but understand you're gonna have some work to do to rebuild the trust with the black community. It's not gonna be about words said, but actions done at that point. Everybody deserves a second chance, even somebody who's a criminal. So you will get your second chance too, but you got to work for it. If after 2020 you saw what happened to George Floyd and you still sitting there tap dancing, yes, a boss, you got some work to do. There's nothing wrong with black conservatives. It's when they push too hard. When they try to be the shut up and dribble types, you know, like a Jason Whitlock, you know. I have no problem with black conservatives. I rock with them too. They black. I'm not going to shun a black person because they have a different opinion. Right? I don't have a problem with black conservatives because not every black conservative is a bad person. Some of them, they only conservative because they just don't like the far left. And there's some elements of the far left that I don't even like. But I can't be a black conservative. I can't be a black public. I just can't do it. I can't do it. But I don't jump down their throat either. I get it. Like, for example, on even the left, they break their toys too. Like Tiffany Cross. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with Tiffany Cross. What they did to that girl was just wrong, man. That was dirty, man. That was dirty how they did that girl. But you look at some of the at the super left wing black people, what usually happens to them is that they get canceled too, like Jamel Hill. Jamel Hill, and there's another black brother. He runs a show on YouTube now, I think, but it was a black brother. He was a light skinned brother. He wore glasses, and I think it was his and hers. I think it was him and Jamel Hill, and they both got canceled. And they're not Kanye. They're not Kyrie Irving. They didn't share anything that was anti-Semitic, but they got canceled just the same. Which lets you know that it's not about Kanye and it's not about Kyrie Irving. It's about getting black people out the paint and using powerful black celebrities to do it. This is why when you look at the NBA today, you look at some of the sports shows with Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley and Shannon Sharp. You look at all these people, right? I want you to notice how all these people are copping pleas. All of them are just bowing down and just kowtowing. You know, they all going at Kyrie Irving all at the same time. Do you understand the symbolism of doing that? You know, I'm gonna give somebody credit. You know, I did hear Tariq Nasheed bring that up, and shout out to that brother, right? Shout out to that brother. You know, like I may have my disagreements with how maybe how he does certain things and some of the people around him, but when he makes a point, it is a very good point. And the point is that they pick people like Shaq and Charles Barkley to publicly go at, you know, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, Shannon Sharp, he went at Kyrie Irving hard. But they do that intentionally, right? Because it makes me realize, and it should make everyone realize that the symbolism of making Shaquille O'Neal bow down, right? Bow down. That shows you what the whole intention is. It's to whip black people into shape. They can see what's happening out here on these streets, man. They can see what's happening out here on these streets. Out here on these streets, right? People aren't just taking the abuse towards black people. Out here on these streets, people are asking for reparations. Out here on these streets, Democrats ain't just getting our votes. Out here on these streets, black people are demanding you do something with these freaking police officers. Black people are waking up. It's not a left wing or a right wing thing or a Democrat or Republican thing. What you're seeing is that black people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's the energy they want to temper. It couldn't just be any black person. It had to be Kyrie Irving. They would have never done this to freaking LeBron James. They would have never done this to LeBron James because they understand LeBron James doesn't really represent anything for the black community. Kyrie Irving does. Kyrie Irving represents an outspoken voice that many people in the black community follow. That's why a lot of people in the black community are standing up with that brother right now. That's why. That wouldn't have happened with freaking LeBron James. Right? That would have never happened with freaking LeBron James. LeBron James wouldn't have even the first time LeBron James, the first time they would have came to LeBron James and said, "You offended me," he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I so sorry. I will never offend you again." That's LeBron. That's LeBron James for you. But Kyrie Irving, you see, his reaction is not like that. See, even the play styles are different. Even the play style is different. Kyrie Irving is a go-getter, scorer. He'll go to the paint. LeBron has no problem with deferring if it means that he doesn't have to take responsibility. Even his play style is cowardly. So I don't care for people like Kanye West, but I will say that I'm going to defend Kanye West. I will defend Kyrie Irving. I will defend any black person who's under attack. You want to know why? Because every other community does it. Let me ask you a question. If there was even a sliver of a chance that Harvey Weinstein could have been defended by the Jewish community, do you not think they would have taken that chance? If public pressure didn't go on Harvey Weinstein as hard as it did, you don't think that they would have stood behind him? They only didn't because of public pressure. Okay? Look at what happened in LA with the LA City Council, right? If let's say that we didn't have an actual recording, let's say that we only had claims. People just claim things. Claim things, right? Let's say that you had a group of black people just come forward and says, "Hey, I overheard the city council just saying that," but they didn't have an actual recording. How do you think those black people would have been treated? Makes you think, doesn't it? I was asked, why don't I defend Whoopi Goldberg? I did. I put out a video about it. I don't know how else you want me to do that. I literally put out content. Before you ask those kind of questions, you should check the creator's content. Because I defend most black people. Unless they directly attack me. It's kind of my thing. This is why I've made some enemies in other communities. Now, you can say what you want about Whoopi Goldberg, but all I know is Whoopi Goldberg has helped a lot of black folks too. She has. A lot of charity work, a lot of stuff. And on top of that, she serves as an inspiration for black girls. Because say what you want about Whoopi Goldberg, Whoopi has been out there. She's done some great work. And yeah, I don't agree with everything that she says either. But I'm not going to go at that. Right now, we got enough people attacking black people right now. I ain't going to go at a sister. Nah. I'm not doing that. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it right now. Neither what happened to freaking Kyrie. I just can't do it, man. I can't do it. I got it right now. I'm circling the wagons around black people right now. I'm circling the wagons, man. I have to protect black people right now because they coming for us hard. You making Shaq bow down like that? You going at Kyrie Irving like that? You make LeBron James look like he was God, LeBron, that was a bad look, man. Oh, he did harm. And LeBron, that was your brother, man. You want to chip with that man. You don't say nothing like that publicly, LeBron. No, you come out, you say, okay, Kyrie Irving made a mistake. He'll learn from this. He'll move on, and we should just let bygones be bygones, right? And just move on past this. And the Kyrie that I know is not anti-Semitic, right? That's how you do that. That's how you support your brother. But LeBron James, he comes out and he says, "Well, I think that what Kyrie Irving did cause harm, and Kyrie Irving, we have no place for this." And I mean, sitting there fleecing Kyrie Irving, the man you want to chip with, the man who saved your legacy by going one-on-one with Steph Curry in the fourth quarter and lighting it up. It was Kyrie who won that chip for you when you was in Cleveland, son. LeBron James. Because Kyrie went ham. And you sold this man out? And for what? For money? Influence? LeBron, you are an industry. If LeBron James came out and said, I stand with Kyrie Irving, are they going to cancel freaking LeBron James? Because if LeBron James came out and said that, then that means Kevin Durant would have came out there and backed him up. That means that if the whole league would have circled the wagons. The whole league would have circled the wagons. But LeBron James, you set the tone for that, man. You set the energy, man. How can you turn around and fleece the man who helped you win a chip, brother? And then a lot of the credit that LeBron James be getting, really, he really shouldn't get credit for that. Like people like, well, LeBron James, he built a freaking school. Some of that was with tax dollars. It wasn't just all his money. Okay. So my thing is that I can't sit there and respect that. I can't respect that. I can't respect, when you are in a position, right, and you can't stand up with your brother. You don't let someone fleece your brother, man. You don't let someone, especially not non-black folks, you don't publicly fleece your brother. This is one of the biggest issues that I had with certain foundational black Americans. They're coming at me. Well, you got a non-black spouse. You're publicly feasting me, knowing what I do with cops, over something so trivial as that. See, that's the kind of jealous, silly stuff, buck dancing stuff that I can't stand. First chance you get, instead of you supporting your black brother, you jump down his throat. You are no different than the black person who lived in the house. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you don't know much about slavery. And my thing is that when it comes to LeBron James, LeBron, you are the face of the league, sir. You stand with players. Your brother who was there for you when you needed him. I can't tolerate people right now who are black who will fleece their own. Can't tolerate it. I want black people to stand up for other black people. Not because they're right or wrong, but because every other group does that. That's why we're always at the bottom, because other groups get on code. It don't matter what they said or did. They get on code. Don't believe me? Go look at a freaking jury. I want you to know that it is not an accident that when a black man gets convicted and it don't seem like he has even a chance of being seen as guilty, the juries are typically all white. That is not an accident. That's happened for generations in this country. That is not an accident. So if every other group can stand up for their own without even worrying about who's right or who's wrong, because I want you to know that for for all these so-called allies that we have, right? For all these so-called allies that we supposedly have, notice how you can never get 12 on them. You can never get 12 on them on a freaking jury. You can never get 12 allies on an actual jury to exonerate a black person or to punish a race soldier, aka American police. So they get on cold. They get on cold real quick. So what we have to understand is that other people get on cold for their own people. Doesn't matter if they're right, doesn't matter if they're wrong. Because what I just said about jury selection is absolutely true. There are peer-reviewed studies on this. Can't argue with me about that. I work corrections. People get on cold. Hispanic people typically vote to exonerate Hispanic people. White people typically vote to exonerate white people. Same with Asians, same with Jewish, same with any other group except for us. We're the only group that holds ourselves to a higher standard than anybody else holds their people to. But for some reason, you want me to not notice that. Listen. You can ask me to repair electrical lines. You can ask me to make a video. You can ask me to do a lot. But you can't ask me to be blind, deaf, dumb, and stupid. If I see a clear set of hypocrisy, clear set of things that I don't agree with, clear things that I see where a black person is being fleeced, where a white person in the same position is not being fleeced, I'm going to say something about it. And no, what we're not going to do, right, is allow people to come among us and not get that point. That's going to be all for me tonight, guys. It's been a nice talk. Love you all. I was really animated tonight. And the one thing that I've lost patience for is trolling. You know, like it had some novelty early on in my channel, you know, trolling with people. But people just doing that kind of stuff. But now it's just like it doesn't help the conversation, so bye. Anyways, guys, until next time, I support Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. I support any black person because every other group does. Until next time, horns up, peace out, good night, and good luck.